Well, hello there, and a good day to you. Welcome to the Daily Download with yours truly for today, which is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. We're going to take a look at the chart. We're going to talk about each of the 12 signs and what this morning's closing of the eclipse window in Virgo means for each of the 12 signs. I'm also going to go into a little bit of what each sign has in, the quality of each sign and things to expect. Also, a quick breakdown of what we have going on for the first half of this year. Just a quick breakdown, and also what is happening right now in the world with Iran is not going to be over in 4 to 5 weeks. It's going to take a year. Okay, so let's be clear on that. It's kind of like when they told us to mask up for 2 weeks and it'll be all over. This is not going to be over in 4 to 5 weeks. In my personal astrological opinion. So this 2026, remember, is a year where in January, right, we're going back a little bit here, but in January, we had Neptune leaving its home sign of Pisces for 14 years and arriving in Aries. In February, we had Saturn arriving in Aries for the first time in 29 years. Saturn and Neptune in Aries can be expressed in many ways. What we're seeing right now is definitely one of those ways on the global stage where war is experienced, and to take place of illusion. I'm not getting into the nitty gritty of it, or my personal opinion on it, or the politics of it. But according to the astrology, Neptune in Aries is the illusion of war. It can be the element of war that breaks up a disillusionment. Also remember that Mars, the ruler of Aries, has arrived in Pisces. So we have a mutual conception. Mars is in Pisces while Neptune is in Aries. So a status quo is shattering and breaking. An illusion is being shattered. A disillusionment is being illuminated through conflict. And a great game. Oh goodness. This is a great chess game. Neptune in Aries, Mars in Pisces. This is, a psyop. This is CIA. This is that good stuff you like to watch on your favorite show that gets your attention, like Homeland. If you guys ever saw the show Homeland, right? It's a CIA. It's like so close to what's happening now, but it's an old show from, like, I don't know, 2009 or something. This is what these energies are showing us on the global stage. In our personal lives, it's it's got that same quality to it. What are we dealing with? The question is, what are we dealing with? How long have we been dealing with this? And what is it? It's a sledgehammer. What is it going to take to break an illusion, a disillusionment, a status quo? Think of a sledgehammer moving through, and it has an element in and of itself. It has an element of disillusionment, psyops. This is the energy template. I'm talking about the astrology. The astrology is a psyop template right now, but there's a force to it. And once the ball gets rolling, there's a trajectory and there's momentum, and it unravels. We're going down a rabbit hole here, and we don't know what is happening. So on the global stage, if you're watching the news and you're seeing what's going on, give it a year. We've just entered a year of this. So what it's going to do to the economy, what it's going to do, we'll see quickly. Okay. So on a personal level, what we always go back to your natal chart, we go back to your progress chart. Where is Aries in your chart? Where do cycles begin in your chart? Aries is the first sign of spring. It's the beginning of the astrological calendar. Where is Aries in your chart? Which house? And it's going to be different from your natal house, your natal chart versus your progressed chart. Probably by like 1.5 or 2 houses, something like that, depending on a few factors. So Aries, where is Aries in your chart? Because this is where Saturn and Neptune are. And it's a sledgehammer that's moving through and creating necessary psychological change for you. And it is not something that we can hide from in our own personal lives or psyche. It could have an element of, terror in the sense of being terrified, being afraid, being, looking at a start of a new cycle for yourself. And you've never been here before. It has a brand new element to it. And so, the unknown is always a little bit of a fear in human nature. And so even though we can't control what's going on the global stage, we can, have more self-awareness, being responsible for how we choose to react to things in our own personal lives, and the new cycle in your life has begun, and the barn door has opened, the ball is rolling, and there is a trajectory of unknown that could feel very weighted, heavy. Saturn, heavy in Aries. Saturn is heavy in Aries. And the good part of that is it brings to our focus our attention. Something in your life is getting your attention because of a sense of heaviness, duty, obligation, responsibility, being asked to step up to the plate, and the bars being raised. A lot of times it can have a legality to it. Saturn, lawfulness, a legality, a court, lawyers, and so forth. I mean, The perfect example, here we go. The perfect example of Saturn and Neptune in Aries is that the Clintons are finally in their deposition and they are just lying through their teeth. Right? It's like the disillusionment, the sledgehammer. And Saturn and Neptune are very opposing energies. And so you have a deposition of the Clintons about the Epstein file. And we're all, we're watching it. And yet, psyop anyone? Right? There it is for you. And so Neptune and Saturn can also put us in situations where we're dealing with cognitive dissonance. That's it right there. In our own personal psyche, it's also, we're on a new stage, we're on a new platform, we're starting a new cycle, and it's those different parts of us, the dream, the wish, Neptune, the dream, the wish, the opportunity, the timing, the door is open. And then Saturn is like the reality check, the responsibility, the risk, the nuts and bolts of the reality, the sobering effect of Saturn to the dreamland wishing of Neptune in our personal lives. Where is Aries in your chart? And then, of course, like I said, Mars has just arrived in Pisces. So the ruler of all this stuff happening in Aries, Mars, is in Pisces. So Mars in Pisces is communicating to Neptune in Aries. In a, can be very melodramatic, can be very invisible, can be very much of a place of surrender, but not giving up. Don't give up. Do not give up. Surrender to the fact of the Saturnian risk and obligation. So it's like it's maturing. We are in a very unescapable way being told to mature at a task that is staring us in the face. Okay. So for all you Aries and Aries risings out there, this is literally what you're experiencing right now. And specifically with Mars entering your 12th house of Pisces as an Aries or Aries rising. Oh, let's see, how long? Well, it's until Mars will arrive in your home sign. And then you better have rested up, because when Mars arrives in your home sign here in, let's see here. There it is, April 10th, April 9th, April 9th. April 9th. There was something else happening April 9th or 10th. Anyway, yeah, that's the day that Mercury comes out of its shadow at 22 degrees of Pisces. So April 9th or 10th, Mars arrives in Aries. You Aries out there, you Aries risings, you better rest it up. You better get ready. You better, meditate, get your ducks in a row in the, on the back burner, whatever's on the back burner, tend to your garden in the back burner. Get everything positioned. Take your time, do it right, because come April 9th, when your ruler Mars arrives at home in your sign with Saturn and Neptune in your sign, the sun in your sign, you'll appreciate the downtime of Mars in Pisces. Don't waste that time. So surrender, but don't feel defeated. Get your ducks in a row on the back burner. Understand that things are out of your reach on the front burners until April 9th, basically. But you still have Saturn and Neptune. You're being summoned to mature at something that looks a little daunting, perhaps, yet very exciting, and a task for your life. Okay. Back to my little update on, the first 6 months of the year. So we know that in March, the sun will arrive in Aries. We know that in April, like I just mentioned, Mars will arrive in Aries. Also in April, we have a big game changer. Planet Uranus, however you want to say it, is, I like Uranus. It used to be spelled Ouraanus. Uranus. It sounds nicer too. Uranus will be arriving in Gemini. That's a big game changer for the air signs. Pluto is in an air sign of Aquarius. Uranus is going to be in an air sign. So, and this all has to do with cryptocurrencies. This all has to do with AI and getting, I'm not saying that it's happening in April, but April is one of the first benchmarks of looking at AI as a, what do we call that? It's a benchmark of, there's a term for it, but it's like where it reaches a self-taught level in relation to humans, what humans are capable of doing on their own, and where AI has reached on its own, being self-taught, a certain level. Also, in June, we have Chiron that leaves Aries and arrives in Taurus. So if you're about 46 years old-ish, you're about to have your Chiron return in your Taurus energy. We know, and we've talked about this, years ago. Chiron in Taurus is the archetype of somebody who works the land for a living. somebody who plows the earth, somebody who tends to the garden, somebody who works with their hands in a very mundane way. It's very like peasant, nothing fancy, not a lot of tricks, somebody who just focuses on their thing day in and day out, tends to it, waters their garden, to produce what they need to feel secure in the world and to live, to sustain, to provide food and the things that we need to live in this world, the things that we need, not the things that we want. And so the Chiron in Taurus energy is you got somebody like that that's been working for 30, 40 years, and the next generation follows in their footsteps, and everything's handed down to the next generation. And the Chiron, the wounding, is that it's all taken away one day by natural disaster, or, as the story goes, the king takes the land from the villagers. The king comes in and takes, or nature comes in and destroys, and everything's gone. That's the archetypal language. That's the story. That's the character in the story, and then of course Frodo goes from leaves the Shire, right? So Frodo then leaves and goes to Scorpio, right? Frodo has to go to Scorpio and go to get the ring, goes into the dark place to battle one's own demons and shadows and so forth. So that's the archetypal story. We have in July, or is it August? I always get that. I think it's August 20th. Let me see here. August 20th, yes. August 20th, the nodes shift to Aquarius and Leo. And that's just a little heads up on the temperature, the weather pattern from now until the middle of the month, until August. There's a lot to talk about. So let's look at the chart here. Let's look at today's chart. Okay. Oh, it's very intense to read the chart. It is. I gotta say, it's looking into a pensive. It's quite intense. It's quite intense. You see everything. You can see a lot. You can see a lot. So here we are. We're going to look at this eclipse here that just happened this morning. I went outside to look at it, my husband and I, but it was cloudy, so we did not actually see it, which I think is a blessing. If you recall, the ancients used to say that during an eclipse you should go hide. You should go sit in meditation and be very discerning and discreet because the electromagnetics of the earth at the time of an eclipse are fragile and thin. And so a lot of interference patterns can come through at that time, especially during a total solar eclipse. Oh boy. Yeah. Do not, I mean, but us modern people, we go out there, with our special glasses on and make a big hoo-ha about it. But the ancients used to say, you stay inside, probably cover your head, stay inside, and don't move, kind of a thing. Sit there and meditate. All right. So the window has closed, right? This is that eclipse window I was showing you guys yesterday. It has closed with Mars entered into Pisces, right? We were just talking about that. Mars is in Pisces, while Saturn is in Aries. This is a very interesting mutual reception. It's called a mutual reception. What am I saying? Sorry. Let me retract that. It's not Saturn, it's Neptune. You got to get it color coded right. Neptune. Pardon me. Mars and Neptune are in a mutual reception. Each planet is in the other one's sign at the same time and at the same degree. On a very positive note, we're looking at spiritual inspiration, spiritual insight, an answer that comes in a subtle way. Answers that come, a revelation personally. The shadow side of this transit is a psyop. And then, of course, whatever Neptune is going through is balanced, conflicted by Saturn. Saturn is going to say, I'm going to move forward through Aries a lot faster than you, Neptune. I'm going to show you what you're going to need to do to get this to work. And if you think you can quit, or if you think you can give up, or if you think you can fall to the wayside, or if you think you can just, stay in your fantasy, your dream, your illusion, Saturn says, I am going to sledgehammer that. Yeah. And so Mars arriving in Pisces, right, for 0 degree, 1 degree, 2 degrees of Pisces is going to, activate Neptune and Saturn exactly, precisely. Okay. So let's go back to the eclipse energy that closed, right? So this is done. This is done. We know that this eclipse energy is ruled by retrogrado Mercury in Pisces, opposite. And so the game that is being played out here, what does Virgo require? Discernment, stringent, factual, logical, not emotional, problem solver, solution maker, bridge maker, peacemaker. Those are all characteristics of the archetype of Virgo. How do we fix this problem without getting emotionally complicated? What are the facts? What is the science? How do we cut out the cancer? How do we starve the cancer? Now, the shadow of Virgo, because Virgo loves to solve problems. It's great. It's got a great mind. Very analytical, logical, problem solving. If there isn't a problem, or even if there is a problem, however, sometimes that Virgo shadow really goes into fault finding. But it does it because it wants perfection. So for you, Virgo and Virgo risings, this is happening in your sign. This is about you and what you are processing. Like, think of your mind as a computer processor and get the solution. Get the solution and then listen, observe, learn from everything going on in your significant other. What is the other one saying or doing? How is this affecting the other one who might not be holding the logical, analytical, stringent, right? So the Virgo is like a scientist wanting to perfect an experiment without any flaw. The Pisces, however, is like, hold on a second. There's so much that's being experienced that doesn't fit into your scientific model. And I need to take a step back, right? Mars and Pisces. I need to take a step back and get my stuff in order. So there might be a delay in time, between getting the solution to the problem and then being able to execute it. Of course, we know with Mercury retrograding, stationing to go direct April 9th, that honestly, for all of us, that's the time we're waiting for. So the solution arrives in Virgo now, but you got to wait until April 9th for the polarity in Pisces to capture what it needs to capture, process, and go through a deeper spiritual process with this. Okay? That's kind of the Virgo Pisces. And of course, the North Node is in Pisces. The fate degree is in Pisces. So it's a beautiful balancing act between the analytical, logical, stringent, and the timing, the patience, the deeper process, waiting on fate. Taurus, let's go to, and I'm a little bit all over the place here. Let's go to Taurus. Okay, Taurus, you guys were squared. We're, squared the 29 degrees of Aquarius there, where we had the original eclipse. That was in a square here. You're about to say goodbye to Uranus. You're about to say hello to Taurus. To Chiron. Venus is finishing up. Venus is in a wonderful sextile. So hopefully a lot of you Taurians out there are just hunky-dory on your parcel of land in your hobbit house with your necessities, your resources at your fingertips, cozying it up. Not overdoing your resources. So greed, not being greedy. As long as a Taurus is not greedy, they are very comfortable with what they have and they don't need much more. And this can definitely be that time as Venus is sextiling Uranus in your sign. Yeah. Okay, Gemini and Gemini risings. But the eclipse, sorry, in Taurus, the eclipse happened in your 5th house. So you might be witnessing somebody you love. Could be a child, one of your children, a sweetheart, or a creative project that you have that you are working on in your life. Get scrutinized, get disinfected. Of course, you want to stay aimed at your goal with this. So a minor setback can save you years of struggle in achieving your life's desire and goal. In that 11th house of yours where Pisces is. Gemini and Gemini risings, you're getting ready. You're starting to maybe feel the vibe, of Uranus in Gemini. This is going to be exhilarating for the brain, for social events. This is going to set on fire our social skills. You're going to go through a significant personal identity change and the way people see you and what you present yourself, how you present yourself. You're going to get electrified. And the eclipse for you in Virgo happened at home and with family. So maybe something didn't go quite as planned for you at home. Maybe it has to do with real estate. Maybe it has to do with a housemate or your family. That feels like a setback. And this is saying, yeah, it is probably a setback. Don't fret. Understand that things have to change correctly and focus on your career, your ambition in that 10th house of yours for your work, your career, opportunity. And you might be in deep thought about what you want to do with career, your reputation in the world. All right, Cancer and Cancer risings. I hope you've been enjoying Jupiter in your sign. Um, I have one of my little jokes. Of course, whenever Jupiter's in your sign, you get endowed with the luck of Jupiter, and sometimes that expansion happens around your midsection. Gluttonous, Jupiter, gluttonous, Cancer, you know, Susie Homemaker. Have you been making more apple pies than usual? Have you been, eating more cookies and baking brownies and all kinds of goodies? I mean, the Jupiter in Cancer is like, Aunt Mama. It's like a feast at home. You walk in the door and you smell home cooking, and it's like all your worries go away, and you're safe and you're comfortable, and everything is provided, and there's a real beauty to motherhood, grandmotherhood, children being just joyous and lucky as can be. Yeah, it's a real beautiful harmony, in my opinion, to have Jupiter in Cancer. Although Jupiter can be restless there, and but that's where it turns into like the comfort. If we overdo comfort, we get lazy, and then we never want to get out of bed. We want to just keep eating apple pie with ice cream and whipped cream, and we feel like children again. Jupiter in Cancer is like getting to be children again. The eclipse for you, of course, happened in your third house of contracts and negotiations. Maybe you recently had a conversation with a sibling or somebody where you realized a conversation agreement came under scrutiny. Maybe is not moving forward at this time, needs more data, or needs to rearrange the way the data is understood. And that's good, because the opposition to Pisces in your ninth house allows you to reach up and beyond to get more information, to get the big picture. Cancers, you got to make sure you get the big picture before you can move forward in April. Leo and Leo risings, well, you're getting ready for the South Node to arrive in your sign this summer, but not yet. The eclipse for you happened in your cha-ching money house. Well, and that's, the archetypal language of that is like, well, what? It's just crazy to me. It blows my mind. Always, astrology blows my mind. What's happening in the world will probably affect the stock market. And wherever we have Leo in our charts, but for you, Leo and Leo risings, this is literally your second house of the money you make, the money that arrives to you. And or maybe you talked to your financial analyst, your financial specialist, and are realizing that there is a very necessary need to change your portfolio, or a financial news arrives about having to take a closer look to make a better informed decision on your money. And Virgos, we talked all about this, about you. The eclipse is you. And in your immediate experience, you might be feeling like you are being put on hold and scrutinized. Maybe you are scrutinizing, disinfecting, cleansing a posture that you are in. Look to your significant relationship, the Pisces part, and understand what is happening to them, which we already talked about. So I'm not going to repeat that. Cancer and Cancer risings. No, what am I saying? Libra. Libra and Libra risings. Well, you're kind of in the clear, so to speak. You know, you have nothing going on. I mean, you had the South Node, you know, like a year ago. A year ago, the South Node finally left your sign. Libra, you are also ruled by Venus. Venus is about to enter your relationship house of Aries. Aries and Libras relate. Aries thinks they're an island. Libra thinks they have to fix everyone. And the true, you know, the true balance of this is neither of those truths are the truth. How do we co-integrate? Aries, you're not an island. You need people that you can trust. And Libra, stop trying to fix everybody. Just accept them and yourself and all your imperfections. The eclipse happened in your 12th house. This Virgo energy is your 12th house. And so something is leaving. Goodbye. 12th house, lunar eclipse. It might be a deep emotional state that you have been battling with. It's finally going away. I love the 12th house. It's quite mysterious and spiritual. Or somebody, a person, either in memory or in flesh, is going away. Their time has ended. It could be a death too. You know, somebody might be leaving in death, this physical world. Let's see, Scorpio and Scorpio risings. Scorpio and Scorpio risings. Hello. Hello out there. How are you enjoying your ruler, Pluto in Aquarius, squaring you? That's something we'll talk about another time, but because I haven't done astrology in a while. So this is a transit, right? Right. If you have anything, Scorpios from 0 to 5 degrees of Scorpio, really since I left, because remember when I left, Pluto was coming into Aquarius and bobbing back into Capricorn, coming the next year, coming into Aquarius to like 1-2 degrees, bobbing back into Capricorn. And I said, right, remember when I said in 2026 and 2025, Pluto will be in Aquarius, squaring you. That's rough. That is some rough stuff. But depending on what it is squaring, remember Pluto wins. So radical life change. But if you have your sun sign, your sun degree, Mercury, Venus, Mars, if you have Chiron, like whatever is in those first 4 degrees of your sign, Scorpio, it didn't stand a chance in the last couple of years as Pluto ingressed for good Aquarius. It's like Pluto, it's almost like, and what's that called? Shoot. It dematerializes the defenses, the persona. It dematerializes. I mean, I don't want to say it this way, but Pluto is Plutonian. Uranian is Aquarius. Imagine on a metaphorical, metaphysical level, Plutonian and Uranian dematerializing for the greater good, the square to Scorpio, the defenses. Hey, the wounding, any wounding got dematerialized. That's great. Liberation is the answer to this. Freed up energy is the answer to this. I know at 0 degrees of Scorpio is my Uranus. Oh, I know personally. And, something miraculous occurred, but everything had to dematerialize, right? The atoms. Anyway, so that's what's going on with Scorpios, and get used to it because, this is a ongoing thing here. Pluto does not move quickly, and it always retrogrades every year. So let it go and embrace the new. The eclipse happened in your 11th house of wishes and dreams, what you aim for, what you invest your psychological, warlike obsession has maybe, hold on a second, right? That's what, hold on a second on this dream, this obsession of something that means a whole lot to you. Hold on a second. Virgo eclipse. Well, we're missing a piece of the puzzle. We cannot put the shuttle together and go to outer space or it will blow up right now. We need to collect and fix and put a new part in here that is the right part at the right place at the right time. And then you can get onto your space shuttle and go and be launched into outer space and go get and capture your dream and what inspires you and what you've put your energy into. So it's a protective pause, a very important one. Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, you have Black Moon Lilith moving through your sign, keeping you laser focused on a direction. That's great. That's great. Also, be careful to, I always say if Pluto had a wife, it would be Black Moon Lilith. And it's fighting the good fight, but do not exhaust yourself through self-righteousness. Do not do that, or you will get burned. Stay focused. stay in your moral compass and allow for there to be room to breathe. Just because you are so intended on your narrow vision to hit the bullseye, it's like a sniper, it's like a viper, right? It's like a boom, it has to hit that target. It's like an archer, Sagittarius, but like Aries, you are not onto an island onto yourself. There is a whole other, people, places, and things going on. But you have the bow and arrow, and you are not losing sight of the bullseye. Thank you. The eclipse for you occurred in your career, your reputation, and your career. So it seems like you are reanalyzing things at work in your professional scope, reconsidering past agreements. Good. If it's not working for you, change it. And then the balance, of course, of that eclipse in your 10th house of Virgo is Pisces, at home and family. You know, the support of family, the support of home life. There's a process going on at home that requires your attention and your patience for fate. Okay. Capricorn and Capricorn risings, you are also pretty much in the clear. Isn't it nice to not have Pluto going through your sign any longer? And opposite your sign in Cancer is beautiful Jupiter. So there seems to be a really generous, peaceful nurturance that you are well aware of in your life. The eclipse happened in your 9th house of in your 9th house of Virgo, Earth sister sign Virgo. So there might have been a hiccup in travel. There might have been a setback in plans, travel plans. There might have been a setback in a surgery. There might have been a setback in an itinerary. And that's because, look opposite the chart, right? 3rd house, Pisces. Not all the information has been made known, and therefore not all the information, not all the conversations have been had, not because of anyone's negligence, but because of timing. And there might be a change of mind. Wait till April 9th. Aquarius and Aquarius risings. Pluto in your in your sign. Fun. Nothing you can do about it. But depending on any other variables, you are Uranian energy, Aquarius. Did no one ever tell you that? Chaos theory, unpredictable, liberating, paradigm shifting, disruptive, Plutonian. So you may be going through some people call it the dark night of the soul. Some people call it radical revolution in yourself. And depending on what degrees you have stuff in Aquarius, depends on when Pluto hits those degrees. When do you get, that part of your identity gets obliterated to make room, to make allowance for hello, hello. It's carving out David from the marble stone. He's in there. You're in there. Pluto is chiseling away at you. And the eclipse happened in your 8th house of personal investments. Karmic relationships, obsessions, how you benefit from another, but also how you could be challenged karmically by another. And then look at the Piscean polarity in your 2nd house of money. Nobody wants Pisces in their 2nd house. No offense, Aquarians and Aquarius risings, but you're either, a gazillionaire with Pisces in your 2nd house. You're either rolling in it or you're wondering where it is. And or it comes in floods and it leaves through your fingertips just as quickly. It's hard to have Pisces in the 2nd house because it's hard to hold on to the money unless it's such an exuberant amount that you just the floodgates are opened. But usually it comes in and then it slips through your fingertips. But this could be the time where your resources, you take a different perspective on your resources, and something transforms your way of making money, or there's inheritance or some kind of, and I mean that like a spiritual inheritance or a physical inheritance or a gift. But remember, with the 8th house and 2nd house, there's always a price to pay. There is no free lunch. There is always a price to pay. So be aware of that. And if when you accept both. And that's, I think, what you're coming to know. And then, of course, Pisces and Pisces risings. Well, we've been talking about you, for days. And here we are. The eclipse specifically occurred in your house of significant others. So your marriage house may feel like it's having a setback, or the person, not so much you, but what the other person brings to the table is they are experiencing a setback. You are not experiencing it. You are witnessing it. You are observing it in them in your 7th house, but you yourself are not, because you know that you're waiting for fate. And patience and timing is everything. And you are waiting for Mercury to station to go direct at 9 degrees of Pisces, where the sun conjoined the North Node on April 9th. So you know. Hope you guys have fun. I sure did. I was happy to have a little bit more time with you all this morning. Have a beautiful day. And if you would like an astrology reading with me, you can look in the description of all my videos is my email address where you can email me. I would like an astrology reading, and then we'll communicate about that and set it up. The takeaway is April 9th will reveal our fate. According to the astrology. This eclipse in Virgo is slowing us down, saying, hold on. Hold on. Patience so that we can receive God's timing as pieces are moving and positioning themselves according to God's plan. And then in Aries, God can move mountains, but we have to bring the shovel. Saturn, the sledgehammer, Saturn. And the ongoing dialogue between Mars and Pisces and Neptune in Aries. It's been hundreds of years since Neptune's been in Aries. We don't know this. Neptune in Aries, I call it a psyop, psychological operation. And what, what role do we play in that in our lives is Saturn. But it's also, Neptune in Pisces, in Aries is also a dream can come true. But you better bust your behind. You better get ready to climb that mountain. You want that up there, the top of the mountain? We're down here. You better do some training, some breath work. You better get yourself in shape. This is not for a weak stomach. It's not. Saturn and Aries, like, forget it. We have work to do to climb that mountain, to claim our dream. And while Mars is in Pisces, recharge, reset, get your ducks in a row on the back burner. Do not bring them to the front burner. Prepare. Because April 9th, when Mercury stations to go direct on that fate degree of 9 Pisces, is also the same day that Mars arrives in Aries. So, okay, that's it for today. God bless.